Not everything that breaks you is meant to destroy you. I'm Christy. Welcome to the unraveling. One of the hardest questions on this journey isn't when is union happening? It is, what if I'm doing everything right and nothing changes? Hi, beautiful soul. I'm Christy. Welcome to this space. Just a quick disclaimer before I begin. When I speak of divine, feminine, and masculine, I am referring to the energies and not gender. We all carry both within us. So today's question comes from a divine feminine who has been doing the work for years. She has healed core wounds, maintained her purpose, built her life, set boundaries, and continues to choose herself. Yet her divine masculine still isn't showing up consistently. Her question is this: how can I be doing all this healing and growth while he appears unchanged? And if there's no movement after all this time, how do I know whether this connection is actually a twin flame connection at all? Let's talk about it. If you're watching this because you feel like our divine feminine, I want you to know something. I don't hear someone who is avoiding her healing. I hear someone who has gone deep. I hear someone who has sat with abandonment wounds, questioned her beliefs, challenged their relationship with God, looked at their judgments, taken responsibility for their healing, maintained their purpose, built a life, created boundaries, and continued showing up for themselves. That's not someone running from the work. That is someone doing it. And I think the question underneath all of this is, if I'm doing the work, why isn't he? Because that is the part nobody really talks about. We hear a lot of predictions, this moon, that portal, this energetic shift, that activation, and sometimes things do happen. But if you've been on this journey long enough, you also know there are periods where absolutely nothing seems to happen in the 3D. At least not in the way we expect. What I've learned is that healing and movement are not the same thing. A person can be healing and still not be ready. A person can be changing internally and still not be showing up consistently. A person can love you and still be operating from fear. And none of those things automatically create a relationship. I know that's not always the answer people want, but it is an honest one. Because at some point, every divine feminine reaches a crossroads where she has to ask, how long am I willing to wait for someone who is not meeting me where I am? Not from anger or punishment, not from ego, but from self-respect. And I think you've already started asking that question. What stood out to me was when you said, I want to share this happier, healthier version of myself with someone who appreciates me. That is actually a beautiful realization, because your healing isn't supposed to make you tolerate less. It is supposed to make you recognize what you deserve. Now, does that mean he's not your twin flame? Definitely not. I don't think anybody on the internet can answer that for you. But I do think we sometimes ask the wrong question. Instead of asking, is he my twin flame? Maybe the better question would be, regardless of what label I put on this connection, am I honoring myself? Because if someone repeatedly says they'll call and doesn't, if someone repeatedly makes promises and doesn't follow through, if someone continually leaves you carrying the emotional weight of the connection, your feelings about that matter. Your needs matter. Your boundaries matter. And honoring those things doesn't block union. It doesn't stop destiny. It doesn't fail some spiritual test. Sometimes it's actually the deepest act of self-love available. I also want to say something about what you shared regarding God. The realization that the divine wasn't absent from your survival, but was present within it. That's huge. Honestly, that's the kind of breakthrough many people spend years trying to reach. And whether your DM calls tomorrow, 6 months from now, or never, nobody can take that healing away from you. Nobody can take that wisdom away from you. Nobody can take that relationship with yourself away from you. And maybe that's the piece I want everyone listening to hear. Your healing is not wasted just because another person hasn't caught up yet. Your healing still counts. Your growth still matters. Your life is still yours to live. And if one day he meets you there, beautiful. If he doesn't, your healing was never for nothing. Before I close, I want to leave you with this. Maybe the measure of your healing isn't whether someone else finally shows up. Maybe the measure of your healing is whether you have finally shown up for yourself. Whether you've learned to stay with yourself instead of abandoning yourself. Whether you learn to honor your needs instead of minimizing them. Whether you learn to trust your own heart, your own wisdom, and your own path. I know many of you are carrying connections that have changed your lives. I know how deeply you can love someone. I know how much compassion you can hold for what they have been through. But don't forget to extend that same compassion to yourself. You're not here to spend your life waiting at the edge of your own happiness. You're not here to put your life on hold until someone else is ready. You are here to live, to love, to grow, to become more fully yourself. And if one day they meet you there, beautiful. If they don't, your journey was never a mistake. Because every lesson, every healing, every dark night, every breakthrough brought you closer to the person you were always meant to become. And that is not a consolation prize, my love. That is the gift. Until next time, take care of yourselves, be gentle with yourselves, and keep choosing yourselves one day at a time. I love you all. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. You're not here by accident. You're so new. We'll meet again right here between the lines.